Welcome to the Weekly Hijack.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, we're back to Lost.
Oh, we missed you, Lost.
It's been a very long time, several months, and we returned with in the middle of frigid Indiana to the tropical island for a pleasant story of torture and brutality.
Ah, yes. Thank you. Yes, nothing goes like Lord of the Flies like Lost. Okay, thank you.
This was one of them, a Sayid episode, and the first appearance of Henry Gale.
Yay, Henry Gale!
A.K.A. Benjamin Linus.
I just gotta say straight off, if you didn't know he was this, Benjamin Linus, all this stuff, he tells a pretty convincing story.
He does.
He lies absurdly well.
Yes.
Like, tell me about your balloon. And he just starts rambling.
He had quite the backstory prepared and knew all about what a hot air balloon dimension should be like, all that stuff. But Sayid's not buying it. He doesn't buy it the entire time.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not sure you should trust. Not knowing the future. If you're just watching straight on, I think I remember back then being like, but is he really another, or is Sayid just crazy? Yeah.
It's a very interesting episode in terms of hindsight versus fast. Because in hindsight, Sayid is absolutely right.
Yeah.
And
obviously, I think the writers knew he was right too.
Yeah,
but they certainly
did. Yes, and
he's such a pitiful character, though, Henry Gale.
Then even knowing it's right, and not really being advocates of torture at all, it's very hard to what do you do in this sort of situation? Ben is such a phenomenally good liar that I don't know. It's an interesting question. It does make you wonder: would Sayid have ever been able to break Ben? I don't know that he would.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah,
Sayid's friend was willing to do torture for information that was pretty much useless.
Yeah,
Ben's. Honestly, Ben probably would have. Yeah, if he had confessed that he was another, would the survivors have let him live? He wouldn't know that. But
it's interesting too. You really do get the sense more that at least than I did last time. I watched this episode of Sayid is no better than the others in this case. The others have taken our people and tortured them or tried to kill them. Then Sayid, first time they capture one, the others tortures them in prison. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You might say he has justification or whatever, but this is how wars get started.
True. True.
And I just love that Rousseau's the first thing we hear, he's lying. It's the first thing that we hear about Henry Gale.
And he will lie a lot.
He will lie for a very long time before he tells the truth, which is basically the entire story of Ben Linus.
Pretty much. It is telling of Rousseau's, it's part plot convenience, but it's also sort of her lack of charisma or somewhat insanity that they have this long hike through the jungle, and then only when Sayid hears Ben calling out for help does she think, I should probably explain what's going on.
I know. So Rousseau, it is part plot convenience, but Rousseau, I think, she's just so twisted and paranoid, and Natasha asked when we were watching, doesn't she know that's the person who stole her kid? Again, I don't remember that scene exactly. I think
possibly. I think she does.
She saw, but I think she knows Sayid's going to torture the guy, and that's what she wants.
Yeah. Yes, that seems to be her. And because, like you said, if I wanted to kill him, I could have killed him a long time ago. She took to the trouble, not only just basically letting Sayid cart him off and do what he wanted with him, as opposed to no, let's do this now.
It's interesting. This episode has one of those, and kind of theme this season, are kind of roguish characters. Sayid is a lovable character generally. People like Sayid. He seems like a nice guy, and then he has his torture side.
Yeah, and then Sayid's usually the level-headed person. Where except in here, there was a question of, is he still he's letting his emotions with Shannon
cloud his judgment on?
People couldn't know for certain here.
And then we had the kind of humorous side story with Sawyer trying to get the tree frog, and then he crushes. Both these characters, even the kind of funny side plot ends up in kind of this dark
area.
To remind you, Sawyer's still
the guy that wants people to hate him. Yep. And nice follow up to the previous episode, which we watched several months ago. The long con of him kind of taking charge.
And I just say the dramatic moment right there at the end where Sayid's beating on Henry Gale, and
Jack's
trying to get in and the things beeping. I mean, that is a great combination of all the what would happen. Is he another? Does it even matter if it beeps? Goes off, and who's willing to? Those guys are those three are so loaded with conflict at this point.
Yeah, Jack and Locke especially, and it always anytime it's like fireworks going off. It's perfect.
And I love and then he almost doesn't press the time, and the Egyptian symbols start coming up. You're just like, what?
I'm still very curious why the hatch designers installed those things.
Yeah, I don't. Was the hat?
Probably some sense of the macabre.
Yeah, and how much of it is? I mean, how much of it was a science experiment as well?
Yeah, or thought it was. They thought it was.
Yeah, it's fuzzy. Now I think, and my memory might be wrong, but I think the one American soldier that gets Sayid to do the torturing, even though he could already speak Iraqi, which is a horrible twist at the end. Mm-hmm. Because he could have just done it himself. I think that's the guy, Kelvin, is that his name? Who's with Des in the hat that we find out later.
You might be right.
And I know this episode was the Lindelof Q's episode, which they would be the ones to drop things like that.
Although I don't really know what the purpose of having him in that be.
I don't know.
Except to establish that he's this really nasty dude.
Well, and I think they just like the whole intertwining flashbacks.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And I also think the other soldier guy was Kate's dad. That could be wrong. Not the one that got blown up, but the army official
that asked him about his daughter. Yeah, I hadn't put that together until you started talking about it.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I've ever called that, and I think I'm right.
I might have to look it up on Lostpedia.
Yeah. So,
Natasha, I have a question for you about this. Is going back to the Sawyer thing. Are tree frogs really that loud? Are there any tree frogs in Brazil?
I don't know. I mean, not really. I've heard more of tree frogs here in the U.S.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there are. But out here in the lake, I've heard frogs louder than anything I heard.
Okay.
So, I mean, they can be loud. It did seem like he was way far in the jungle.
Especially, it just struck me funny, too, when I was thinking, like, there's an ocean right by his one ear, and he's bugged by this tree frog, like...
Sawyer and his animals that bug him. I mean... Boars and tree frogs. And
Sawyer versus nature.
It is. It's so ridiculous.
I don't know if there's much more to say about this one.
Came in a balloon, Henry Gale from Minnesota.
The man behind the curtain, as they would later come to call him. This is like the tip of the iceberg of Henry Gale, Ben Linus in this episode.
I just love, so he's beating him and talking about Shannon, and then he's like, what, you lost someone? You lost someone too? He's just like, he's so good.
He's so manipulative.
And we see more of that this season, if I remember correctly.
And it just goes to make you wonder what others' culture was really like.
I know.
Like, I mean, did they really have this need to they didn't have this many visitors on the island in general. Grant, I guess they had some off-island dealings, but it just makes you wonder, where did he pick this up?
This is not a good set of people. No. As much as they try to spin it. I mean, Richard, I guess, but they're all so defensive. I mean, they're paranoid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a culture of paranoia over there in other land.
Yeah. Hardcore.
Well, yeah, Ben helped them.
He did kill all the Dharma people.
Yes, all the Dharma people.
I don't know if that was Richard's idea, though.
No, I think that was Ben's idea.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
Ben has been messed up.
I mean, Ben himself is more malicious because Whitmore's not at that level of insanity.
And I guess isn't there that moment too of like when Sayid shoots Ben and then Richard goes to heal him and he says like he'll never be the same again.
That's true.
Because doesn't he goes to the temple, doesn't he?
Yes.
And we know bad things happen with temple miracles.
Yeah, I think it went worse the second time through because of Jacob being dead, but when Sayid got healed, but
it may have affected Ben more than normal other culture, I suppose.
That's true. He certainly is a very special. I mean, but the Juliet's the genius at lying too.
Yeah, true. So that might have rubbed off on her. Who knows? She seems normal enough.
And Goodwin.
Yeah, and Ethan. Yeah. They're all very good liars.
Yes, they are very good liars. I think it must just be something they're taught, like a survival mechanism.
And I can't imagine Ben didn't have some sort of like. I don't see how you could possibly do that without some sort of like training to withstand torture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing he's runs around with all these passports and monies, and I mean, he's obviously well versed in the covert operations.
Yeah, so that's true. All right, well, that's it for the Weekly Hijack. We will be updating sporadically. As we are recording this is January 17th. There is a new Hayden that is due to arrive very soon.
Yes.
Here. So I'm not sure when this episode will be released, but hopefully you can look forward to more of our Lost rewatch in the future.
Which is quite entertaining. I mean, I'm glad we watched 2 in Once Upon a Time, but Lost is always fun to come back to.
Yep, we have to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
In the meantime, be sure to check us out at derailedtrainsofthought.blogspot.com.
Subscribe to us on iTunes and other such places, YouTube.
And until next time, this is Tim.
This is Nick.
Bye-bye.
Bye.